Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be doing another overdressed deck profile, this time on Orfist, or the World deck, or the Shadow Army token deck, depending on your choice. So this deck focuses on setting up 2 world cards, so you could go to your Abyssal Dark Knight state, and once you reach there, well, your plays will begin. You will be calling a bunch of Shadow Army tokens, and that's where you can make a bunch of plays, because before in set 1, all you really do is just set up and just call Shadow Army tokens just to beat down your opponent. But now with set 2, there's a lot of interactions with the Shadow Army token. So now this deck feels a lot more fun, and not boring doing the same thing over and over. But other than that, let's begin with the deck. So of course, start off with the ride line. Of course, go for Fovi, you choose whatever star you want, but you might want to go for Fovi in the future, because Cardinal might be an important name. And then for, of course, your grade 1, it's Notice, which when you ride it, you can search your deck for 1 world card. There is one specific world that you want to search for at the beginning of the game, because that's the first one you always want to activate. And if you go second, I normally would use this skill first to search before doing the draw, just so you have 1 less card in your deck. And then for the grade 2, Kubisa, I don't know why this deck has a really bad grade 2 ride, but it gets 5k power when you play an order card, which is guaranteed to happen because you want to do that, get everything set up for grade 3, in which our grade 3 is Orfist, which gets 5k power if you're in Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight state. So basically, if you have at least 1 world card, you'll get that 5k power. But it also has the second skill where while you're at Abyssal Dark Knight, keep that in mind, that's 2 world orders, you can counterblast 2, call 3 Shadow Army tokens, which are all 15k boosters. Yeah, they're quite nasty. Especially now with the extra interactions with the Shadow Army token, you can probably get 5 on the field and attack with 30k each. So, yeah. And now to the main deck lineup, of course, because you want to do Persona Ride, although it's not too important for this deck, you still, of course, run the other 3 copies. So that's it for my grade 3s. To my grade 2, I run the new Cardinal Draco. So this one gets additional 2k power while you're at Dark Knight, but while you're at Abyssal Dark Knight, it's 5k instead. It can become a 15k attacker, plus a Shadow Army token that's 30k, but it also has a second skill, where after when it attacks, you can retire 1 Shadow Army token to retire 1 of your opponent's rear guards. That's a nice trade-off, because Shadow Army tokens are easily regenerable. And you do want to clear out some of your Shadow Army tokens so you can use Orfist again. So there's also that, because in many cases, back in set 1, you don't really have an incentive to use Orfist again. But now this one kind of gives you more incentive and more interaction with Shadow Army tokens. And then next, I run Morisa. This one lets you look at the top 3 for a world card. Yes, you could play world cards instead of these, but since this is a unit card as well, you can also attack with them, which is why I run these. And 2, you don't want to overclog with world cards either. So this is just there as like a balance, safety measure type thing. So that's it for the grade 2s. To the grade 1s, I run the new Cardinal Noi Turbiro. When this card boosts a Shadow Army token, you can give the boost unit an extra 15k power, and then at the end of the battle, you can retire all of your units in the same column, so your Shadow Army token along with this card to draw a card. Yeah, big beater attack. No reason not to run it. Especially you can do this early game to get the draw as well. And then I run El Copa. This is only really here for extra countercharging, because when this card boosts, you can retire a Shadow Army token to do the countercharge, which is fine. You could refund Orfist and all that, but the extra countercharge can help. You don't really have to run these, but this is much better than most cards. And speaking of countercharging, I still run Godzilla, because it does go to Soul for the countercharge and it's at the end of the battle, so there's that. Countercharging is a little more important, while Soul is not really much of an issue, but if Soul becomes much more of an issue, then this is much more preferable. And then because you have to run the 4 PGs. And now to the world cards. So first, let's start off with the grade 3 world card, the only one. In the Darkness Nobody Knows. So all the world cards will have this same ability, where their second ability is, it's a continuous, where if you have only 1 world card, it's Dark Knight. If you have 2 world cards, it's Abyssal Dark Knight. So all of them will share that. But its unique ability is that when you play it, you have to Soul Blast 1, and then when you place it on the order zone, you can retire 1 of your opponent's rear guards. Just there for some extra removal, but most of the time you won't play this. but it's there just in case. But then for the other world card that you'll most likely play, which is a grade 2, Howling Moonlight Light, which unique ability is you Soul Blast 1 to draw a card. Yeah, that's the only reason. And then for the first world card that you'll usually play is Ellipsing Moonlight. You play this with 1 counterblast, and what it does, you call a Shadow Army token. This is so you could get some early game plays, like the Cardinal Draco that can retire one of your opponent's rear guards at the end of battle, or Terminoid, which lets you draw a card. So yeah, there's that. And it also gives you additional attack as a 15k attacker, which is another reason why you want to play this as your first world card. So that's it for the main deck lineup essentially. So to the trigger lineup, you of course have to play the over trigger. And then I play 7 crits. Because pressure wise, a lot of beat sticks, so you gotta play it. And then I play 4 fronts. You don't need draws in this deck because, well, 1, you're barely going to be calling cards, and 2, you're going to be using your Shadow Army tokens as your beater because of that reason. So that fronts help out a lot with that power. So you want to go full beat down. And finally, the 4 heals. So that's it for this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is a very fun deck. Not gonna say it's cheap or anything, but after set 1, I definitely saw the potential in this deck, especially because I really like the Link Joker-like design, so I just had to build it. Especially with the potential of what they could do with the Shadow Army token, and it's also not the first time that Bushiroad done this, where the introduction of the Archetype is where it doesn't do much until the next booster set where it has a lot more interaction with everything. So now this deck feels a lot more interactive, a lot more fun, and feels a lot more complete. But in that, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and have a nice day with its awesome design.